All right, so my name is Blake Krone. I'm going to talk about student becomes the teacher here. Yeah, a little bit about me if you actually care about it. Why do I have my certifications? You know, I decided I got all these certifications and I decided to teach, so that's who I am. So what do I teach? Right now I teach CWNA. I am technically allowed to teach CWAP, but Peter does such a better job of it than I ever would, so just have him teach it to you. I also teach Ekahau along with Keith and Krone and some others. So why do we teach? Why do Keith and I and others get up here and talk in front of everybody to teach? Sharing is caring. You don't want to hoard all of that information. You know, you only have so much space that you can put all of your information in. You need to be able to share that information. We're not going to keep our lips sealed and not share this information. Keith has a very good statement that he always uses in a lot of his classes and a lot of his discussions when he's talking with people around knowledge is like fertilizer. You need to spread it around and let everybody grow. And it's very true. There's a lot of us in the industry that we're like, oh, job security, I'm going to keep all this information to myself. I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to share it. I don't want you to know what I know, because if you know what I know, I'm replaceable. We all should be replaceable. If we all get hit by a bus, or the joke that we used when we went to Iceland for Ekahau Masters, we looked around and we're like, Sam, Devin, myself, we're all on the same flight that's going across the ocean. What happens to the industry? What happens if something happens to all of us? So we want to be able to spread the information around. Sharing is caring. All of us are going to succeed. The other statement that we always hear is about, you know, a high tide will float all sails. You know, it's true. In this industry, don't hoard the knowledge. Spread the knowledge around. So what makes a good teacher? All of us could sit up here and we could be, all right, I have my CWNE, or I have my CCIE, or my ACMX, et cetera, whatever expert level certifications. But the technical skills are just one side of it. It's all about your presentation and your social skills. How can you sit there and turn Techlish into English, or whatever language you're speaking in? How do we put common phrasing into there so that when I say things and I'm talking and I'm rambling off about co-channel interference, or I'm rambling off about channel widths, and I start getting all these deer cotton headlight stares at me, they're like, what did you just say? How do we reword that phrase in terms that they can use? So a lot of my students that I had over the weekend, I'm glad you guys are still upright. Well, at least I see one of you is upright. Where's the other guys? You guys still awake out there? There's moments when we're going through things that it's like, okay, how do we make this click? How can I put this into normal terms that help you understand it? Channel bonding, how do we use that into normal terms? We always equate it to a freeway and a highway, going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. So how can you become a teacher? Well, it's actually pretty simple to become a teacher, because all you need to do, if you're going to go for a CWNT, for example, you have to get an 80 or better on the test, on the current test of what you want to teach it. That's first and foremost. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is if you sit any of the CWNP exams, a 70 to an 80 is a really awesome score. Be proud of yourself for a 70 to an 80 score. Me as a test taker coming from Cisco land and even some of the Aruba exams, I'm like, if I'm not up in the upper 90s, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And I need to go back to the books and study. It's not true in the CWNP program. We want to see you guys around 70 to 80 scores. The people that have the higher scores than 80, those are the ones that are going to go on possibly to teach them. If you score greater than 80, cool. Yeah, go for it. But then you fill out an application. A simple application that says, I want to teach. Here's the exams that I've passed at my 80 or better. I send in a video if I don't already have an existing teaching certificate of some other sort. So if I'm not a Microsoft certified trainer, Cisco certified trainer, et cetera, I have to bring in a video. And the video doesn't really need to be you speaking up in front of all the people right here. This certainly does work as a video that I could have used. You could just put together a quick 10-minute video that says, here's me explaining a certain topic and how I would present it to my students. Pay your certification fee. Like anything else, there's a certification fee, annual renewal on it. And then finally, find students and take over the world. Because again, going back to sharing, share all that information. Use your stories. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to somebody just read through a technical slide deck. They want to listen to you read some of the highlights of the technical slide deck, but then they want to know, what were your real world experiences of this? How did you actually go past this hurdle? You know, we've heard the discussions earlier about MS Chat V2 and using ePeep. Should you or shouldn't you? So when you explain how the process of ePeep works, explain to them what are the gotchas about it. Look at the things like karma. What can it do if I turn on a Wi-Fi panel in this room? If I turn it on, I can start to de-auth all of you guys. Tell about the stories of how you've used that in every other environments or wherever you've also been at. So yeah, take over the world. So I guess, you know, when it comes down to it is, if you get the certification, just go out there and get it and continue on. Keep going for more. If you don't ever actually even get any classes that you teach at, having the understanding and how to do presentations in a training will help you with your customers as well. It may not be a professional level class that you are going out and you're teaching. It might not be like Ronald and I doing classes this weekend. But when you are talking to your customers, it's the same exact thing as teaching. You'll become more familiar with the technology. The more times that you repeat yourself as you're doing this, the more you start to understand it. Or you may realize, you know, maybe I didn't quite understand how that actually happens. And now, as I'm explaining it to somebody and somebody is asking me, can you clarify? Can you clarify? Can you clarify? I start to go over it more times in my head. I'm like, I'm not explaining this right. How do I do a new explanation of it? So that's what I had on how to become a CWNT or how to become a teacher. If anybody wants more information, I will certainly talk with you about it. And just as an FYI, for all of you that are going for any of the CWNP exam certifications, if you want to become a CWNE, and I told my students this, I am more than happy to be an endorser for you when you become a CWNE, as long as you involve me in your process, and I will want to read your essays, and I will provide you feedback. If I think you're ready, I will more than happy to be an endorser for you. All right, that's all I have.